now we're going to talk about how we get people from point to point. And if there's one thing the Prime Minister really noticed in his visits here, and when Jack and I and everybody were together, is that we lack a road system. And in this report, and I'm not building, let me absolutely be sure that I don't want to build any expectations, but in the infrastructure program for the future Northwestern Ontario, we've included one area of the Trans-Canada Highway system from Nipigon to, where's Sylvia? Chappaqua. Yeah, that shuts us down. We can't have it. When we were in Kenora, we talked about the need for tourism in Kenora. In the one area, tourism in Kenora needs access to Winnipeg. And that's critical. So, you know, those are all part of the solutions that we propose to the Prime Minister that in the deck, all fitting within the framework that he outlined last Thursday. And that's what we see as the future for Northwestern Ontario. We hope that the forestry industry will resurrect itself. I think everybody in the room is pretty well convinced that it may not resurrect itself in the form we once knew, or the form that we became maybe too comfortable with. But it will resurrect itself, and we'll find a use for that fiber. And we'll find a use for those trained people in the forestry business. But we may have to have transitional employment in the meantime. So that's really what I came to ask you to do today, if I could, is to work together. We really will be successful if we all come together and have a common vision of where we expect Northwestern Ontario to go. I'm willing to stay on and as long as I can to bring this or start this program. I will not be around to see the end of it, but I would hope to be around to see the beginning of it. And I think we can do it. I look upon the young people around in the room, the young politicians and so on, that are so important to make sure that it's done. So I ask for your support. I ask that we come together as a Northwestern Ontario and put this plan into effect. I think it's doable, and I would be very happy to take any questions that I can. I'm sorry, is there somebody else in the program? Mayor Harvey's going to speak. Come on. Is that okay, Brett?
Sure. Ladies and gentlemen, the Mayor of Nipigon, Richard Harvey, and as you know, the program that was announced last week is called the Community Trust Fund, and Joe had asked Richard to just speak on behalf of all of the communities, the one industry towns, of the potential impact of this announcement.
Glasses not working because they're for near distance. My glasses, I need the glasses for both. My glasses are somewhere out in Lake Superior on a fish right now. So I have some other challenges. But I am very pleased. I'm excited to be able to be here to just have this opportunity to publicly respond to the recent federal announcement. This announcement, this is significant. And it's significant to small towns, especially. And we have here today, Madge Richardson is here from Scriber. We were talking just right beforehand about how exciting this can be for us. I know I've been talking with Sam Sobush, my friend from just across the bay from us. And he also is very excited about this program because it's something that is going to be looking at trying to meet the needs of the displaced workers, their families, and the communities that have been affected by this recent downturn in the forest industry. And this announcement, I really do believe that this does signal a commitment on behalf of the federal government towards the individual workers who have been affected. And I know this last little while, just since the announcement, I've had a conversation with a lot of displaced workers. And the consensus is, good, there's something that's being aimed at us. And Joe, there is a very big support for that aspect of this. Now this is the type of assistance, and as I said, this is the type of assistance that small towns like Nipigon need to successfully help our citizens make the transition to the revitalized economy. You know, people talk about the forest industry. The forest industry. The forest economy is not dead, but it's changing, and we have to change with it. It's not going to be the same. I keep saying we can't compete making toilet paper. And that's a reality. So what we're needing is we have to find ways to diversify our economy. We have to move away from the concept of single industry towns. And I'm confident that this initiative is going to help us to achieve these goals. And I think that we should be very pleased that the Prime Minister and his government have made this commitment. Now there's been a lot, we've talked again today about the aspect of this that's in retraining. That's exciting for Nipigon. I know one of the things we've got is there is a vibrant, growing mining economy in our region. I've been surprised to discover that they're bringing workers in from Alberta, the Northwest Territories, to work in my community. And we have all of these people who are displaced. But the problem is they don't have their core drilling training. And we need to have that certification so that they can take part in that economy. And so that is one area, but there's a lot more, and I appreciate, Joe, you've elaborated on some of these things. I'm really excited about the fact that this also includes the whole idea about community transition plans that are going to foster that economic growth. The reality is so often we have, somebody from away coming into our communities and telling us what has to be done. Whether that be someone from the federal government, whether that is from some multinational company, and coming in and saying, this is what has to be done. This will allow us as communities to develop those plans so that we can transition. And whether it is through some of the things that you've already mentioned, things such as finding out what are those new forest products that we can develop into. What are the other industries that we can have in our community? All of this stuff I think is going to be very exciting. And it gives us that opportunity. Another thing that I'm really excited about too, and Joel's alluded to this, is the whole idea of the infrastructure. That does two things. One, we know that our infrastructure is crumbling in this area. We've got the issues with our road. All you have to do, I drove up today, and on 2 separate occasions, we were down to 1-lane traffic because of accidents. Very easily, if there would have been any kind of major accident today, which if you go on those roads, you'll know how bad they are, we could have had our highway shut down for 8, 10, 12 hours. Having improvement made to those roads. Coming up here, I recognized, I'm sitting there thinking, right now with the snow and that, we barely even know where the side of the road is. So those are improvements that can certainly be made. And that's something that what it will do is just like the whole initiative with the water and with cleaning up. As a kid, my house growing up was right above the Nipigon River, and I remember sitting on some days for hours, literally for hours, just watching the logs flow down that river. And those rivers are clogged right now. We still, this many years after the log runs, we still, when I'm out on my boat, we have to make sure we're keeping an eye out for deadheads that are still flowing down and getting dislodged in there. This is a wonderful initiative. The infrastructure, wonderful because what that can do is it can provide the short-term employment for these displaced workers. And Joel, I'm excited about this part of it because guys are saying, yeah, great, Richard, the economy is going to come back in 2 years, 5 years. That's wonderful. My EI runs out next month. And that's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing that from a lot of people. These guys don't want to leave. I've got a lot of people who are working 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, flying into various locations out west or up north. These guys want to be able to work in our area. This is the kind of project, Joe, that I believe can really impact us and will provide that employment for our citizens so that they can transition to the new economy. And when we bounce back, when we come back, because we're going to come back strong, and when we come back, they'll still be here. They won't have left. Now, I do know as well, Joe, and you've shared some of it, and I know that Joe has a lot of plans on moving this forward. And part of the reason that, as Joe's already alluded to, that the plans are so far in the works as far as Joe goes, is because this is an initiative that is homegrown. This is the initiative that started here. Back in February, when our mill burnt down, Joe came down to meet with myself, some of my counselors, some of the displaced workers. And he came in and he said, Richard, he said, we need to do something for these workers now. And that was, I remember that, is we need to do it now. And in the typical Joe way, I remember in the Nipigon Cafe, typical Joe way, we need to do something now. And he did that slap on the table. And we knew at that point that there was a desire to move